Welcome to Connect, powered by the Fulton County Department of Senior Services. I'm your host, Dr. Pamela Rochelle. This show connects you to information, services, and programs that support healthy aging. Not only is healthy aging a priority of Fulton County government and the Department of Senior Services, it is the guide by which we provide the most relevant resources to assist our aging population to remain independent, healthy, and active. Do you know that the term dementia was coined by French psychiatrist Philippe Pinel in 1797? By the end of the 19th century, the term was more accurately applied to people who experience the loss of cognitive ability. Today on Connect, you will learn more about this disease and how to recognize symptoms. Although this disease can be devastating to individuals and their loved ones, the Department of Senior Services recognizes that people with dementia can still engage in stimulating activities that benefit their quality of life. Later in the show, we will share how an important program is making a difference in the lives with those experiencing this disease. So stay tuned, we'll be right back. We're back and glad to have you with us today on Connect. I'm your host, Dr. Pamela Rochelle. Of the estimated 5.7 million Americans living with Alzheimer's and dementia, in 2018, 140,000 are Georgia residents. Of the 147,000 seniors in Fulton County, close to 6.9% have been diagnosed with Alzheimer's disease. Research indicates that Fulton County and the metro Atlanta area percentages were less than that of rural areas of the state. The Department of Senior Services operates 4 adult day programs throughout Fulton County that support individuals with early onset of dementia. The Adult Day program provides services to seniors who may be at risk of institutional care. Adult Day program participants consist of older adults that require supervision throughout the day. Joining us today is Milnerette Nelson, registered nurse and staff member of this program. Welcome to the show, Ms. Nelson.
Thank you.
So I know that you have been a part of the Adult Day program for many years, and you have seen families that have been experiencing dementia and Alzheimer's disease, and I know that you get many questions about the difference. So can you share with our viewers the differences between dementia and Alzheimer's disease?
Yes, I would be happy to. Dementia is classified as a syndrome or a disorder where there is cell damage in the brain, and the participant or the patient may have memory loss, and they can no longer form normal activities of daily living for their age bracket. And with Alzheimer's, it's a disease process where the neurons of the brain are affected and they can no longer fire effectively or the way that they should. And plaques have formed on the brain. And it's a disease process that may start mildly, but it's a lifelong, it affects the brain lifelong after it happens. And there's stages, 3 stages that have been identified by the Alzheimer's Association. And eventually, unfortunately, it's a terminal illness. So that's the difference. And with dementia, you have other forms of dementia that is an umbrella. So with Alzheimer's, dementia falls under Alzheimer's. There's Lewy body, and that's a cardiovascular form of dementia. So you have different forms of dementia, where Alzheimer's is a disease process by itself.
That's very helpful, and I think that our viewers, when they hear you talk about the differences, it sounds very similar, but they really need to have a family member actually diagnosed,
Yes.
not try and
Yes.
figure this out on their own. So that was very helpful. So speaking of diagnosis, what are some of the first symptoms that you hear from caregivers when a loved one is experiencing dementia or Alzheimer's disease?
When I mentioned earlier that it's not age related, we all forget where we put our keys. we all might forget a date or two as we mature. But with Alzheimer's or dementia, it's non-age related. So whereas someone who bakes cakes all the time or handles the finances for the family, but then all of a sudden the telephone gets cut off or the lights get cut off, they're having problems processing something that they do all of the time that's normal for them. They can no longer do that. So that's a big key right there.
That's very helpful because I know I forget where I put my keys. I forget things, dates on the calendar for my daughter. So making that distinction about routine forgetfulness
Yes.
is really not what we're talking about here. That's very helpful, and I'm sure a relief to many people that are watching today. So what are some of the risk factors? So you talked about some of the symptoms that we might recognize. So what are some of the risk factors for developing dementia?
Age and genetics are something that is normal. It can be hereditary, and as I said, as we age, some things just normally happen to us that we have no control over. But cardiovascular disease has been identified as a huge risk factor, but it's something that we can have some control over. So we in the healthcare field like to encourage our patients to eat healthy, to exercise, to make sure we're checking our blood pressure on a regular basis so that the plaques and that the brain is like your heart. The blood flows through it. So you want to make sure that it can flow through healthy and not become clogged.
So these systems are connected and
Yes.
taking care of not just your heart, not just blood pressure, but looking at total body and taking care of several
Right.
systems altogether. So when you see many of the participants that come into your service programs, are they progressing the same with dementia? Can you really predict this stage will last 1 month, this stage will last 2 months? Does it progress the same in everyone?
No, no patient is the same. It can depend on physiological factors. It can depend on environmental factors. It can depend on the support systems that are available. If a participant is enrolled into a program such as the Adult Day Program, that can help to, as I said, Alzheimer's is no cure for it, but it can help slow down the process some. So it just depends on factors like that as to how a person would progress.
So no two people are the
No
same
two people are
as
the
it
same.
relates to this. So what should a caregiver or a loved one do if they recognize either signs of dementia or Alzheimer's disease? What should they do next?
The first thing they need to do is visit their physician or their neurologist to let them know that they've noticed signs and symptoms and say, hey, I've noticed this in mom, I've noticed this in dad, or I've noticed this in myself. And what's going on. It could be a medication. Sometimes medications can give a side effect that we don't quite want to have. Or it could be a memory loss problem. Once you talk with your physician, they may refer you to a neurologist, or if you're seeing a neurologist, let them know so you could get a memory study to identify some factors, or a CAT scan or MRI, and those type of studies that help to identify what is happening and to, if need be, get a diagnosis for Alzheimer's or dementia or, as I stated before, Lewy body, getting into more of the technical terms.
Well, Ms. Nelson, thank you so much for sharing your thoughts and your expertise with us today. Really appreciate having you on the program.
Thank you.
Up next is Perfectly Seasoned with nutritionist and chef Joe Engelbird, followed by activities that support individuals with dementia. We'll be right back.
Hi, welcome to Perfectly Seasoned, the cooking segment of the Fulton County Department of Senior Services. Today, we're going to be making something that's just perfect for this summer season that we're having. We're going to make a bacon, kale, and tomato wrap with roast chicken. So here's how we're going to start it. We've got some cucumber. We're cutting cucumber really thin, really thin. We're going to put that on the plate with some other things that we've already got cut and got started. Some zucchini, got a little bit of tomato. And what we want to do to begin with is to marinate these vegetables in some very flavorful things. So we're going to start with a pinch of maybe some kosher salt. So a little bit of kosher salt on there to begin to give that some flavor. Then next we're going to put some black pepper, just a pinch or so of black pepper around there, just like that. Very well seasoned. And then maybe to give it a little bit of spice, we're going to put a little bit of crushed red. I love that flavor for giving it a little bit of heat. And then you really can't marinate something if you don't have just a little bit of garlic. So I've got a little bit of fresh chopped garlic here. We're going to spread that around. Finally, to marinate these things just right, we're going to put a little bit of olive oil. So we've got some olive oil in our dispenser. And then we're going to finish the marinade with just a little bit of balsamic syrup. And this is a real thick, sort of cooked balsamic dressing. It goes great when you're marinating vegetables, kind of looks like that. So we're going to let those vegetables marinate. And we've already had going here some roast chicken. So I've, in my pan, just a little bit earlier, I just roasted up some chicken, got it nicely seasoned. So that's going to be our next ingredient. We're going to finish the ingredient preparation by making a little bit of kale salad. So we have here some fresh chopped kale. We're going to dress that with a little bit of Italian dressing. You might have some in your fridge. You might just be able to pick this up from the market. So we're just going to toss that in together, just like that. And then we can start putting together our BKT, or our bacon, kale, and tomato wrap. So it's going to look like this. It's very simple. I have a nice, good size spinach flavored tortilla. Kind of looks like that. You could use really any flavor of tortilla that you like. So here's how we're going to do it. We're going to put our marinated vegetables first. A little bit of cucumber. Going to have here just a little bit of zucchini. Of course, you could use other vegetables too if you like. We have these available today, but if you've got some yellow squash or some other good things like that, those would be great as well. We're also going to put a little bit of bacon. I have some nice crispy bacon, so if you like good bacon, you're going to use a good amount of that. If you don't eat bacon, you could always leave that off. There's no problem with that. Next, we're going to add some of our roast chicken. So we got a little roast chicken that's going to go right on there, just like that. And then finally, we're going to top it off with a little bit of our kale salad with that Italian, really nice, flavorful Italian dressing. We're going to wrap that up and be ready to serve it. So it's real simple. Just fold in either side, fold the top over. I'm going to roll that up as tight as you can, and then we're just going to cut it. We're going to take our knife and cut it almost in the, I call it cutting it on the crooked, but it really gives it a nice little look there. So we're going to serve that maybe with a little extra kale salad right there, and I love it with fruit, so we're going to put it with a few fresh grapes. So what we have is a sort of a take on the old BLT. We're making a BKT. We use some fresh kale, we've got some nice marinated vegetables, a little bit of roast chicken, a little bit of crispy bacon. Makes for a very flavorful and pretty healthy dish. So I invite you to go and get some ingredients and start cooking. Thank you for watching Perfectly Seasoned.
Welcome back to Connect. I'm your host, Dr. Pamela Rochelle. Adult Day programs not only benefit our participants, they also provide important respite for family caregivers. Knowing that a loved one is in a safe place where they will receive a nutritious meal, companionship, mental and physical stimulation can ease the burden of family members and give them much needed time for themselves. Ms. Russell is the Adult Day Program Coordinator for the Dorothy C. Benson facility. Thank you for joining us today, Ms. Russell.
Sure, my pleasure.
So you have been an adult day coordinator for several years now, and I know that you provide such great programming for our families and their loved ones throughout Fulton County. Can you share how your program helps with those participants that are experiencing early onset of Alzheimer's disease?
Yeah, sure. Our program is one that the bottom line for what we do in the program is trying to help the seniors to realize that they really do have a reason to continue to live because they have had so many losses. Some of those not only have dementia, but some of them have had strokes and have lost the use of parts of their bodies. Some have lost loved ones, usually, well, not usually, but sometimes even as recent as weeks before coming to us, and have had to relocate from different cities or even states from where they have spent so much time. And so now they're having to adjust in life. And it's very difficult to adjust in life when they've had all of these losses and they're feeling like they're not sure that they want to go on. Yeah, and so we want them to help them to recognize that there's a reason why they should continue to go on.
And that's such a great statement, a reason to continue to go on. So how do you and your team help with this adjustment? You described all of the different changes in life, from moves to actual loss of other family members or friends, moving to a new city. How is the Adult Day program helping with that initial adjustment period?
So one of the very first thing we do is before they come to us, we actually sit down with them and their main caregiver around the table. We talk about their abilities, their disabilities, the things that they have enjoyed doing in the past, including work life, any hobbies that they've enjoyed doing. That part is very important for us because when we make the calendar, which is our schedule of activities that we offer every day, we include those things in our calendar. That in itself helps them to have something to look forward to and to want to come back. And we are assuring that there is something that they will enjoy, once they come.
That is so important, that whole concept of person-centered care. I think it was so important that you said the actual participant sits down at that first meeting.
Yes.
So you're not developing any plan of care, their participation without their involvement.
That's correct.
So I think that is just so important. So what kind of training and new techniques, modules for training are you and your team looking at as you continue to serve those with dementia or Alzheimer's disease?
Okay, so we actually have quite a few things going on already, like with music therapy, art therapy, pet therapy, aquatics. We have an exercise program. But one of the other major things, other than exercises and actual physical engagement, that's very important is the mental part. There's a program that we just came across last fall, called Neurosize. And it's like a program that helps to bring about things to stimulate the brain, to stimulate the thinking, to stimulate the reconnecting of life in itself, because a lot of people will remember the past from a long time ago, but it's very difficult for them to remember things that have just happened. And this is to help to engage in the short-term memory as well.
So a lot of thought obviously goes into the programming. You're making sure that you're on the cutting edge of new programming and training, which is outstanding. So I'm very clear on how you help the participant. How do you think this program helps the caregiver?
So as far as the caregiver is concerned, it's like a respite for them. We have some caregivers that are still working, and it just gives them a peace of mind, like when they're at work, to know that their loved one is being not just babysat, but is being engaged in life, and they are being fed nutritious meals. It's been ensured that they're being hydrated throughout the day. And if they have to have a medication in the middle of the day, that they get that as well. And that helps to keep them out of the hospital.
Absolutely. Definitely do not like those hospital visits.
Yes.
So as you are providing this service, what are your hours? Or is it just a few days a week? How often can a participant participate in the adult day program that Fulton County provides?
Okay, so we are open 5 days a week, Monday through Friday. We open up at 7 o'clock in the morning, and then we close again at 6 o'clock in the afternoon. Some people think initially that they need to be there the whole time, but they don't need to be there the whole time. Whatever fits into their schedules, the caregiver schedule, the participants' desires, that's what we sign them up for.
So all of that is discussed during that initial meeting?
Yes, it is, and nothing's written in stone. So if things change for them, whether they start off with 1 or 2 days a week and they decide they want to come more frequently, they're able to adjust that as long as we have space in the program for that. If they start off 4 or 5 days a week and realize it's entirely too much for them, at least initially, then we cut back to accommodate what their needs are.
So it's really customized.
Yes, it is, very much so.
From the time that you have that initial conversation about the person and who they really are and what they've enjoyed in life, and really looking at how you and your team can customize that experience for them.
Yes.
From the types of activities they participate in to the number of hours and days that they come and enjoy the service.
Yes.
It's all customized to each individual consumer.
Yes, and the other thing is some of the males are wanting to know, when do the other men come? And so that's another customization that we do, because usually there are fewer men in the adult day program than there are females. So.
Which is, I would think, just a result of longevity in life in general, that we have women that enjoy longer lifespans.
Yes, that's part of it, but the other part is a lot of times men, as they get older, and especially when they're losing, when they're having losses and realizing the losses in their life, they feel like they want to be in control. They don't want anybody telling them what to do. But when we share the program with them and point out things that we feel like they will enjoy and show them other men that are coming, then we kind of sort of win them over.
So any closing thoughts about the adult day experience that you want to share?
Yes. I think the Adult Day program is one of the absolute best things that has happened to our communities. And I just want to encourage all caregivers to make sure that they are taking care of themselves as well. Research has shown that if a caregiver is not taking care of themselves, they usually, their life is usually shortened before the care receiver, because the care receiver is getting excellent care, but it's the caregiver who's not giving themselves as much focus as they are the care receiver.
So we're so excited that you and your team, along with 3 other facilities across Fulton County, are here to help in serving families and providing that respite for the caregiver and providing excellent care for their loved ones in our Adult Day program. So thank you for joining us today.
My pleasure.
We'll be right back with closing thoughts. Thank you again for taking the time to join us today. The ability for us to connect with people who are losing their cognitive abilities is a testament to the power of the human spirit. Having the opportunity to make someone feel loved, accepted, or safe when they have no memory, rational thoughts, or even the ability to understand language is a deeply inspiring experience. It is our hope that today's show provided useful information on dementia and how our Adult Day program may help. Thank you to our guest, Nurse Milnerette Nelson, Program Coordinator Brenda Russell, and nutritionist Chef Joe Engelbird. At the Fulton County Department of Senior Services, it is our mission to improve the quality of life for older adults through the development and coordination of programs and supportive services that encourage independence and enhances overall well-being for our seniors, their caregivers, and the community we serve. We welcome your feedback and the opportunity to speak with you on these and other services. For more information about our Adult Day program and other services in the department, contact us at 404-613-6000 or email us at seniorservices@fultoncountyga.gov or follow us on Twitter at FultonInfo. Thank you for watching. We'll see you next time on Connect, powered by the Department of Senior Services.